Good afternoon. Welcome to Stand Up for Jehovah. I have got some really sweet stuff to show you today. My little boy was rooting around in my bedroom and he came across this packet of stuff, and it's all my old school reports in there from primary school. But there's some other stuff in there as well, and I've got a few things that I want to show you from when I was at school. The first thing is this. As you know, you can't celebrate anything, and children love to celebrate stuff, don't they? So the only thing we could celebrate was anniversaries. So every anniversary I used to make this series of little anniversary cards for my mum and dad. They're all handmade. They're not dated, so I don't know how old I was. That was traced Paddington, so I don't think I was that old. This was probably the oldest one because I drew it all freehand. But one of the funny things is this this card here, happy anniversary. Can you see my mum there? She's sat knitting and she's got 3 berets on her head. There's me sat watching the TV. I'm watching the goodies, good old 1970s British fare. And there's my dad asleep on the floor. Now this is really sad actually. Can you see he's got baggy trousers on? Okay. We were obviously Jehovah's Witnesses the whole time. My dad was a manual worker and also an elder, and he was exhausted all of the time. And obviously my enduring memory of him that year was him, every time he was at home, he was asleep on the floor in the living room. He must have come home from work, shoveled his tea down and tried to get a bit of a sleep before the meetings. And the other thing was, where it says baggy trousers, he wasn't very well. He was always just not ill as in, you know, an illness, but ill, just not well, but a stomach or something. And his clothes used to hang off him. And I've captured it all on a happy anniversary card. Here is the misery of your year, Mum and Dad. Happy anniversary. One more year dragging the streets and donating your life to a publishing company. So they're quite funny. Here's the other thing that's utterly hilarious. I think when I was about maybe 9 or 10, we had to do a topic at school, and you could choose any topic you wanted to choose, and so I chose drugs, divorce and prayer. Drugs, divorce and prayer. That was my topic. Why the teacher didn't phone social services, I don't know. Let me read you some of it. Now, the one thing about this is that my writing's beautiful. I'm left-handed, but it's actually really beautiful writing. So, okay, divorce. Bear in mind, right, I live in the UK. We lived in a northern town. We were Reet Brewered, Yorkshire. We didn't really speak as bad as that, but some people did. Reet Yorkshire, down to born and bred. This is what I wrote. First page. In America today, 3-in-1 couples get divorced. We'll just skip over the maths there. I did correct it later on. In America today, 3-in-1 couples get divorced. Bladder, bladder, bladder. And it goes on pontificating. Proverbs 22:15 says, foolishness is tied up with the heart of a boy, but the rod of discipline will send it far from him. Yada, yada, yada. I'm 9 or 10 and I'm writing this bilge. Quite a nice picture there though. Bad marriage equals divorce equals heartache. Good advice from a 10-year-old. Everybody should accept their advice from a 10-year-old. All around the world today, people are getting divorced. In Russia as well as America, 1 in every 3 are getting divorced. Russia, America. I lived in Yorkshire. I went to Batley to buy me sweeties, and I went to Dewsbury on a Saturday with my mum and dad to buy the Beano and the Whizzer and chips off the second-hand comic stall. Why I'm talking about Russia and America, I don't know. Oh, but I do know, because all the magazines were just so America-centric. They bore no relation to anybody else's lives. Then drugs. Next topic, drugs. A research has been made in 1970 in America, and it shows that 70% of the students in universities have used marijuana. I'm 10. I don't know what a university is. I don't know what marijuana is. But I have drawn some really nice pictures of things that I knew nothing about. My daughter now tells me that that's a paracetamol there, and that's a cold and flu one. Okay, but no, I didn't know. Could have been something terrible. Blah blah blah. In most parts of the world, cocaine is on the rise. How embarrassing. In America, the third largest industry is marijuana smuggling. It is even bigger than tourist industry in Florida. Now, at this point, I've never heard of Florida. And then I draw a nice little graph. I am a maths teacher now, so I'd like to think that graphs are my forte. A nice little bar chart, and look at that, $118, $67. I've never seen a dollar. I've never seen America other than on Starsky and Hutch. And I'm filling a topic from a Yorkshire girl in a Yorkshire school with dollars and America. Okay. Praying to Jehovah. My primary school was a nice, small town primary school. Back in the 70s, we didn't actually have school uniforms then, so we could wear our own clothes. So I remember the boys used to turn up with those printed t-shirts that just had printed braces on them. And my little half cousin, her mum and dad had money, and so she had like these lovely pink satin blouses, and I just had, I don't know, rubbishy clothes. Anyway, here we go. Let me read you about prayer. God does not listen to prayers that are repeated like those at dinner time in school. What a snotty little snitch I was. One boy was in the schoolyard. Now I'm willing to bet that this wasn't my schoolyard. One boy was in the schoolyard when two boys came up to him. One put a knife to his throat and threatened to kill him. So he prayed. Just at that moment a police car went by and the two boys ran away. Thank God for the Rozzers, eh? What is this bullshit that I was reading, believing and copying out? All of this must have come straight from and Watchtower and Awake. I'm amazed that I don't think the teacher even graded it. There's nothing on there to show that she's given it a mark. Don't deserve a mark. It's just copying. Copying's not learning. However, the pictures were good. Now check out this picture here of this lady praying. Now my daughter shows me that this fringe that I've drawn, starting from the middle of her head, is the fringe that I cut into my daughter for her entire childhood. She had some horrific fringe that went from here down to here, and I just used to cut across it for about 7 years until she was old enough to beg me to take her to a hairdresser's. So it started young. My poor daughter had a witness haircut. And blah blah blah, on it goes. Drugs, divorce and prayer. There's no connection between those three things at all. Dear me. Right, here's something else from my little packet of school reports. This one's much earlier than that. The writing on it, when I open it up, looks to be maybe, judging by my son's writing, maybe 7. I might have been 7 when I did this. My Christmas book. I bet you'd love to know what I wrote in here, wouldn't you? My Christmas book. Well, I'm going to read it out to you. Now check out, I don't know if you can see that writing, it's like pencil and it's quite childish, but not quite as childish as my son's, who's 6, and the spelling's good, so I'm guessing it's 7. Okay. Starts off quite nice. I got a tick for this. Today is December the 1st. In December we make a Christmas pudding, we bake mince pies. Tick. Except that that's not true. We never made a Christmas pudding or baked mince pies. The problem comes on page 2. Page 1 was fine. Nobody needed to call the social services. Check this out. Page 2. On Christmas, I do not do anything. I have a different religion, spelled R-I-L-I-G-E-N. I have a different religion, so I have to play with the toys I have, but I do not mind, and I do not have to put up with and I have to put up with in the playground, but I can put up with them, and Jesus was not born on Christmas Eve, but I hate to say, so I do not like school. I would rather be at home. I have a lot of problems, but I can put up with all of them, and I need no help. I am all right, spell R-I-Y-H-T. I am all right. And I sometimes think back to when I was a baby. How I did that, I don't know. I sometimes think back to when I was a baby and think of all the things I did that were nice. Like what? Sitting in the meetings, getting my nappy smacked for squeaking. All the things I did that were nice. And then look around me and see the things going on all around me, and I think, I wish I was at home. And after that the bell goes and I feel very cold when I come in if it has been frosty outside. I do not believe in Santa Claus, spelt C-L-A-W-S. I believe it is a man dressed up as Santa Claus. You spoiler alerts. It is a man dressed up as Santa Claus. That is what I believe. And that's the end of my Christmas book. And then actually there is a picture of my house. We did actually live in a little cottage that looked similar to that, with a big black door in the middle and 2 windows at each side. Now, I think, if I remember back, I think something was said about that from the school to my parents. I'm pretty sure mention was made of the fact that I had lots of problems, but I could put up with them. I was stoic. Moving on, zooming forward in time to when I was about 16. I think I got baptised just after I was 16, and I distinctly remember making my mum and dad a card each. And amazingly, here is one of the cards that I made. That's the card I made for my mum. The one I made for my dad had a dragonfly on it, and I thought it was really quite good drawing, actually. Very good drawing. Dear Mum, sorry about the homemade card. Oh, we were poor, trust me. Sorry about the homemade card, but I hope it reflects a little of how much I love you. Thank you for managing to live with me for so long. Like what, I was 60, what was she going to do? Throw me out? I can't stand living with you any longer, despite the fact that you're my only flesh and blood. Thank you for managing to live with me for so long and being my friend when I needed one, and being my kick up the pants when I needed one, unfortunately. Thank you for helping me in the truth and for guiding me down the narrow path. Lots of love, Louise. Well, Mum, I've got something to say to you. I retract this card. I'm not thanking you at all. You can forget that. I've got the card. You're not having it anymore. So there you have a little potted history of my childhood. I have lots of problems, so thank you for seeing me in the straight and narrow path. Fortunately, I turned out completely normal. So all's well that ends well. Thank you for listening to Stand Up for Jehovah.